Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin moved mainly sideways today. The altcoins are performing really well, and that all adds up that fits very well to my Bitcoin dominance technical analysis I shared with you a few days ago and only today on Discord again. Highlighted here that we should reach that target area next, and that's been reached now. Published that a couple of days ago on Discord. So I see this either as still a wave 4. So up here, a few days ago mentioned, okay, probably a dip is coming. So that means altcoins starting to rally, or at least they perform better than Bitcoin. Now we've reached that support area. If it's a wave 4, I'd like to see another BC pattern. But if we start to break, let me zoom out a bit, below 57%, I mean, that would be an indication that we've got a major top in place. Yeah. So it's something to watch. It's not, so far, it's pretty insignificant if we zoom out a little bit, right? What is noteworthy, however, and that is something that you might not know about. What is noteworthy? I mean, I've been counting this move up as an ending diagonal. Maybe one more high. Maybe one more high. Is it absolutely needed? No, we are already in the larger resistance area, right? But what often happens in the last wave up in these diagonals is a so-called throw over. These diagonal patterns typically form a wedge pattern or channel, and the last wave up tends to break out, fake out, and then break down rapidly. So it's something to consider. I'm not telling you we will get another high. I'm telling you up here we have at least a local top. The trend is down now, and the trend is down as long as we stay below that high. And if we now get a lower high and then break support, I mean, that would be further confirmation that we really have a top in place. So it's definitely something I'm considering, and it's definitely super interesting. So Bitcoin dominance dropping. That doesn't mean Bitcoin has to go up. It doesn't mean Bitcoin has to go down. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the altcoins are performing better than Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin is doing, right? If Bitcoin goes down, they go down less. If Bitcoin goes up, they go down. If Bitcoin goes up, the altcoins should go up more. Now that's very generalized. It's not true for all altcoins, but in my watch list here, it's all pretty green, right? It's all pretty green, with the exception of, what's that? I don't know. Okay, most of them are green, and Bitcoin chart itself hasn't really changed. So that's why I wanted to show you Bitcoin dominance, because the Bitcoin chart itself really not moved. I mean, we broke out of the wedge pattern. It's a 3-wave move down that always leaves the door open for higher prices. It always does. Could go up higher. I have really no micro count here. I mean, this is already a micro count. I told you that you know, there could be a wave 4 at some point. Do we need to reach support? No. I mean, look at this wave 2. It was pretty short, right? So the wave 4 could be in at any point. We might hit support. It's only support. It's not a target. Considering that the wave 2 was really weak, the wave 4 could also be weak. Yeah. In terms of duration, right? The wave 2 is really, really weak. And also down here, I mean, I could easily fit another 1-2 setup in there. It's not entirely clear, but best I can tell, one more high and then a larger correction of sorts, okay? And then we obviously have to look very closely at the structure of the next correction. But for now, I'm considering higher prices. You know that the blue area is still a target area I'd like to see reached. Below 72,800, we have confirmation, however, that the larger top is already in. But until that happens, I'd like to see one more high in wave 5 of 5. And that means the idea is, yeah, maybe a little bit lower in the short term. Don't have to. It's a 3-wave pullback. You know, if you want to go long, you can always put a stop below that level. But this is just not a reliable trade setup. You know, I'd be much more interested in, you know, in terms of setup. You know, from a reward to risk point of view, this area would be much better. But we might never test it. It's just, it shows us for a wave 4 based on FIB levels, FIB guidelines, we have to allow this wave 4 to go down all the way to 72,800 if it needs to. But I would find that quite deep anyway, because it wouldn't have the right look. So Ideally, it stays quite a shallow wave 4. Usually on a weekend, we see these wave 4s develop. And it's been a pretty wild day in the altcoin sector, pretty interesting. So what I want to say is one more high expected, and after that, a larger pullback. And then we will have to watch very closely, we have to observe very closely the structure of that next pullback to understand, okay, is it in our blue scenario, the wave 4, and this support area would change with the price because the price forms one more high, I would have to adjust it. But it would just move up a bit. Or are we in the larger wave 4? So is it the white count or the blue count? That's the main question. For anybody who's not so familiar with these two wave counts, what you can do, you can check out our the first video from today in which I covered the daily chart, but I will do that tomorrow again. Okay. Before I forget, and before we talk a little bit more about the microstructure, you all could vote on X, formerly Twitter, about a cryptocurrency update you wanted to see specifically and exclusively posted here. I just did that. I've just done that. And you all voted for Injective. I mean, not all of you, but most of you voted for Injective. So I know how popular it is. A lot of people ask me on YouTube for an update. So it is here on Twitter, not on YouTube. Head over there, follow us there, because there will be additional updates for additional coins, in the coming weeks. And there's additional stuff coming on here. There's stuff that you can't find on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. So feel free to check it out. Just make sure that you only follow the correct account, and we would never send you a message on social media. So that means, what could it be on the very small time frame? I would say certainly an ABC to the downside. I mean, this is some kind of an ABC. The only question is this going to be a larger ABC in wave 4 then? Possible. But then it shouldn't really go much higher. So what we could, it might just be testing. It broke out 3 waves down, could just test from below and then move down. But if we start to see it travel more towards 78,000, we know that we're likely already in the 5th wave. This is a very, very small time frame, so decisions have to be made based on what the price is doing right now. So I just want to tell you the options here and how to understand the structure, because a 3-wave move down is never bearish. It could indicate it forms a larger 3-wave move, but that's also not necessarily bearish. It just means, okay, we keep the door open for higher prices at the moment. That's the update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.